Alright, this might be the last video in this series. We have covered a lot of stuff learning how to use Roll20, and in this video we are going to finish up with the Delian Tomb from the adventure of the same name, available for free from the DM's Guild. Link is in the description of the video. So, the Delian Tomb, we set it up in the last video. We went ahead and gave it dynamic lighting and all sorts of other cool stuff. But now we need to fix all that, because at the end of the last video we turned on Fog of War and we turned off dynamic lighting. So let me reverse that. We're going to go to page settings. I'm going to turn off Fog of War. I'm going to turn back on my dynamic lighting, make sure that my settings are correct and force line of sight, only update on drop and restrict movement, and I'm going to hit OK, and hopefully it hasn't gotten too messed up. You can also see that it's really super dark right now. That is another thing in settings. If I scroll down to darkness opacity, I can set that anywhere I want, from all the way blacked out to not even there. So I'm going to put it somewhere in the middle, just to make it a little bit easier for me to see what I'm doing as I populate this page. Alright, we're going to use the actual printed adventure as a guide. So let me bring that over to our window. I got it right here. So we got 3 rooms, A, B, and C. It looks like there's some kind of broken door going on right there and a weird shape. That's probably the trap. There is descriptions of what all this stuff does when we, scroll through. And that's what I'm going to be using off screen as my guide for this thing. So I'm just going to go ahead and put an A, a B, and a C in those rooms to help me remember what I'm doing. Because being a DM, there's a lot of stuff you got to keep track of. That's the truth. Alright, so in order to put notes on my map, I'm going to do that on the DM layer, or GM layer, because I don't want people to see my notes, because they're only for the GM. So, second button on your toolbar, mouse over, go to GM Info Overlay, turns into the all-seeing, all-powerful eyeball, and here is the GM Overlay Opacity. This slider will determine how ghostly, semi-transparent your notes are. I recommend while you're making notes to turn it up so that you can keep track of them. So I'm going to turn it up like that. Now I want to put some letters. I want to put A, B, and C. Now, you could be you could be like me and just, like, with the mouse, whoops, that is still on the shape tool, Control Z. With a mouse, you could use this freehand tool, and you could just draw some, like, hideous, like, letters. There you go, A, B, and C. And honestly, it's good enough for me. If you can't read your own handwriting, or you really want to get fancy, there is a text tool. So you can click on text, change the color to something that you're definitely going to be able to see. There's 5 whole fonts to choose from. You want to make it honking big, and then you're going to go ahead and put like A, B, and C. Honestly, I mean, mine looks pretty good, right? Like, we don't need all these fancy pants. Anyways, so that's 2 different ways that you could, put some labels or some notes in there. Horrible handwriting or beautiful text tool. So there's options. All right, let's check out the adventure. Room A is the offering room. Darkness waits down the stairs into the ruins. Faded carved script is barely visible in the stone above the entrance. From below, you hear the occasional sound of goblins talking to each other. From further inside the ruins, you hear chanting or goblin song. So, cool flavor text, I guess. If the goblin guards from upstairs escaped, the goblins in this room are alerted to the players. If the goblins didn't escape, these goblins are, I think, like gambling or something. Whatever you want them to be doing. Playing Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I think the adventure says they're shooting dice and eating a meal. So, depending on how much you want to look at the actual adventure, you could, because you have all these lovely margins, you could go and use the text tool, and you could just copy and paste in the description. Oh, isn't that cool, right? So now you have the description sort of, so that you don't have to look at the adventure to reference it. Keep your eyes on the adventure. There you go. And we can always go in here and select everything and then reduce it in size. So let's see. Double click on it and I'll go to the size here. We'll reduce it to like 26. Oh, hold on. I'm going to do, with my cursor inside the box, Control A. There we go. And reduce it down a little bit because it's a little big. There we go. So that's an example of something you could do, right? Boom. Now I have a little tiny text box that kind of, you know, reminds me, hey, this is what's going on here. Pretty cool. You could do this to the whole dungeon. You could put your notes in the margins of the entire dungeon, which honestly is not a terrible idea if you have time for it. If you're in a rush, of course, just doing a little hand-drawn A so that you know, hey, this is A from the adventure, or Area 1, or whatever the map key says. So, very useful tool, text tool. You can just hide stuff off in the margins. Even if this wasn't on the DM's layer, even if I move this to like the token layer, I wouldn't have to worry about the players seeing it because dynamic lighting, they only see what's inside the dungeon. So anything in the area outside the dungeon, they can't see it. Alright, so in this room there are 5 goblins. Well, let me tell you, A, this room is really small to have 5 goblins. And B, the one goblin escaped, I think, in the last encounter, so that's 6 goblins. And my group, for this example, only has 2 heroes. So yeah, that's going to be a bad time. We might reduce it based on number of players. Keep in mind, it's easier to have another goblin show up from deeper in the dungeon than it is to explain why a bunch of goblins ran away and were never seen again. Sort of like when you're baking, right? You can always add a little bit more seasoning, but you can't take the seasoning out once you've already got it in there. So if you're not sure about the number of monsters, start low and then add more. But don't start with a bunch, because then you're going to have a lot of trouble explaining how the players manage to take care of them when things are going poorly. Yeah, anyways, so I'm going to go to the object layer. So toolbar, second option down, objects, and I'm going to drag out some more goblins. So I'm going to say for 2 adventurers, maybe 3 goblins are down here. And they're playing dice and eating some food. It says they're eating food. I don't see any food on there. I mean, you know, maybe for fun, I'll throw like a turkey on there. So I could just go here and do like turkey. And look at that. I've got a turkey already in my clutter. You know, from the web, they've got a turkey also. Look at how well cooked that turkey is. Blam, they're eating a turkey. This is the kind of stuff that no matter how old or serious your group is, when they get in there and they see a turkey on the map, they're going to giggle. There's going to be some giggles when they see this rotisserie chicken. I guarantee it. Anyways, so now we've prepped that room. Let's see. Treasure. Okay, there's notes here about a treasure. I could make another text box if I wanted to. That describes the treasure. So I like the settings on this text box, so I'm just going to, while selecting it, Control C and then Control V. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab this from the adventure by left click dragging it and paste it in. If you have D&D Beyond, it's very easy to copy and paste from D&D Beyond Adventure. There you go. So now we've got information about treasure. Nice, nice. Cool. Now there is a trap coming up. So let's see. If we scroll further down, what else is there here? Okay. The wall is covered with carvings depicting knights of the Delian Order fighting chaotic creatures, including goblins and their kin. And the opposite wall is carved the following: I swear the Delian oath to serve law, battle chaos, and keep the Delian lore secret. Alright, good stuff. So I think there's a handout for that. Yeah. So let me see if I've got a handout here in my resources folder. Oh, yep, there is. So this is a great opportunity for a handout. So, and I'll link the handout in the description. Alright, so going over to our journal, I'm going to go to the top and I'm going to add, and I'm going to choose handout. And I'm going to put Delian, or maybe the Delian. There we go. Oath. Sweet. And then I'm going to, from my assets folder, I'm going to drag over the Delian Oath. There it is. And while Roll20 is doing that, there we go. I swear the Delian Oath to serve law, battle chaos, and keep the Delian lore secret. So you say that this like stone is like etched in the wall. Make sure they can't miss it, because this is the secret to figuring out how to get to the secret room with the magic sword. So you want to make sure, like, no matter what, that they see this thing. Also, for accessibility reasons, doesn't hurt when you have a handout like this that's got funky handwriting or, you know, slightly hard to read handwriting, to go ahead and in the description just put the words again, because it's just a nice thing to do. Alright, and then we're going to save it. And then when the players come into our dungeon, we can show this to them. Right? And then they'll be able to look at it, and those players that can't read this, they will be able to read the actual part down here if they have trouble, you know, deciphering that weird font or whatever. So, you will notice, though, that when I tested sharing the handout, it got a little blue dot next to it. That means that my players are going to be able to see it when they start playing the adventure. So you will need to sort of clean that up before you run the adventure by going in and removing it from your players' journals, because you don't want them to have access to this stuff until you reveal it in the adventure. So same thing, going back in time for the Boar's Forest, we'll remove that as well. Alright. Could I have made the Delian Oath just a asset off to the side and done a Shift-Z on it? Yeah, I could have, but they would probably keep asking me to show it to them, because it has words and stuff on it, and they're going to need it to solve a puzzle later. So it's much better to make it a handout. And that's the kind of stuff that the more you run Roll20 and the more you DM, you're going to think about that stuff in advance. Let's see. Alright, anything else going on in this room? There is a trap. Yeah, that was included down here with the treasure description. Doesn't have a very good header, though. So let's do this. Trap. There we go. Just beyond the door is a Scythe Trap. The DC to spot it is a 15, blah, blah, blah. Alright, so wouldn't it be cool if we actually had a Scythe Trap? So we'll go back over to our Art tab, and we will look for a Scythe Trap. Doesn't look like there's anything there. I have one from different games that I've done, so why don't we just type in trap and see if there's anything available. Oh, look at that. There's a Scything Blade Trap, first thing at the top. So we're going to drag that over and hope that it's... Yeah, okay. So right now, that is on the DM's layer, but that Scything Blade will appear on the player's view when we left click and then right click it and go to layer and move it to token. So we're going to move it to the DM's layer to hide it, but when we spring it on the players, we will move it to this layer and then, you know, maybe even Shift Z it. Ho-ho! Scything Blade, look at that thing. So that's kind of cool. I'm going to go ahead and go to Advanced by right-clicking on it and making it a drawing. That'll make it a little bit easier to perfectly position it. There we go. And let's see. Secretly hide it on the GM's layer. Now, the thing about traps in a dungeon is if you miss them, it is a pain in the butt to unmiss them, right? So we want to make sure that we don't miss this thing. So I'm going to go to my GM's layer, and I'm going to go to my handy-dandy marker tool, and I'm going to just make a big circle right here. And then I'm going to circle trap, and then I'm going to like connect them, and then I'm going to write trap. Because I have missed a lot of trap opportunities in the many years I've been doing this. And, you know, like, I don't want to miss it this time. Again, all this marker work and all these words and stuff, the players aren't going to see it because we were doing it on the GM layer. To show you, if I took the GM opacity thing and I turned it down, right, it's disappearing, it's gone, right? They don't see it. Pretty cool. All right, so now we have the trap. We have the description of the trap already in Roll20. We have the description of the treasure already in Roll20. We've got the flavor text for the room already in Roll20. Fantastic. Let's move on to room B. Let's see. Room B is the prayer room. The walls of this room are made of finely crafted pale gray stone. Small niches line the walls, each dedicated to a paladin of the Delian Order. Blah, 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 blah. All right. So I could, like I've been doing before, I could copy and paste some of this information. So if I went to my select tool and I selected this text, I could go up here off to the side and I could paste this in and then copy and paste the words here from the adventure. And this is, you know, again, if you're working with limited number of screens or, you know, whatever, this kind of gives you an opportunity to have that information on one screen by using the text tool. All right, so what's going on in this room? Let's see, the little boy is in this room. Okay, so the little boy from before. So let's see, what was that kid's name? We'll just type in boy. Maybe the boy's name was Timmy. Alright. I can't remember his name. Let me go steal him from the front page. There he is. Teddy. Teddy's his name. Either way, I can go over to a different map, select an asset I want, copy it, and then go back to the other map and paste it in, which is kind of a neat shortcut. So he's in this little cage right here. There we go. And it doesn't really look like he's in the cage because the map layer is below him and all that. So what you could do, again, this is just if you want to be extra. You could go and look up, like, cage. Maybe spell it right. Oh my goodness. There we go. And I've got, like, a cool cage that I found on Dungini. So if you scroll down here, there it is. I could drag this over. And it's already, see, set up with transparency. That's kind of cool. So I'm going to go ahead and make it, go to advanced, make it a drawing so it's easier to place. And then kind of just move it so it's on top of the cage. So now it looks like Teddy's trapped in a cage. Isn't that cool? What a cool effect. All right. So what else lives in this room? Let's see. In the center of the room are 5 goblins and a Goblin Priest. That's 6 goblins. And in the corner, out of view, is a flippin' bugbear. Well, let me tell you, level 1 bugbear gets a sneak attack on you. That's the end of your character. But whatever, let's do it. So I don't have a bugbear yet. So assuming that I convince my group that, you know, hey, playing online's cool. Let's drop some money on this. And I spent the $30 or whatever to get the monster manual. All I got to do is go to Compendium, type in a bugbear. There we go. Go to monster, drag out a bugbear, and it's all ready to go. Look at all the stats are there. Everything's ready to go. And there it is. There's the bugbear. Now I could always double check it if I wanted the bugbear to have dynamic lighting, for example. I could go to its token, make sure it has sight enabled, make sure it's dim light. If I really wanted to, you know, improve things and I was going to use more bugbears later on, I could go and re-register the token since I made changes to it. Now every bugbear is going to have dark vision moving forward, and that's kind of cool. Alright, so we've got a bugbear. He's waiting there. We could even go in here and right-click advance, flip horizontal so he's facing the right direction. Oh man, why not? It wants us to add even more goblins. Okay, so it says there's a Goblin Priest, but in the adventure, I don't think the Goblin Priest has any difference in stats. If you wanted to, you could make a Goblin Priest by just giving like a couple of spells to a goblin. And I can show you how to do that real quick. So let's move our friend Bugbear over to the monster folder. And then we want to make a Goblin Shaman. So we're going to take the goblin we already have, and we're going to go to Edit, duplicate, and then we're going to cancel out and close out. We're going to scroll down to the very bottom because that's where duplicates go, and we're going to grab them and drag them all the way back up to our monster folder. Now we can edit it to be a Goblin Shaman. So, how do we make it a Goblin Shaman? Alright, we're going to go to Edit, and we're going to remove the art, and we should put in some cool art so that we know that this guy is like fancier than the other goblins. So, I'll leave it to you to find some art for your goblin, and practice with like token builder and all that. For this, I will drag over this guy right here. I always like the idea that like maybe like boss goblins do like a, I don't know, full body swap of their like skin or something with like dyes and stuff like that. Doesn't seem like it's loading. Alright. Let me see if I've got it in here. Oh, I know what's going on. It's an animated miniature. That's what's going on here. Scroll, scroll, scroll. All these goblins. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Yeah, there he is. He's a little animated guy, see? So I don't think animated guys can be used for avatars, which is unfortunate, because it'd be kind of neat to show you an animated one. I'll just grab this ugly looking guy right here. Oh, wait, there it is. Cool, it worked. Alright, so we're going to call this Goblin Priest. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and select that because I'll need it again. And I guess for tags, this is a goblin. And he is a boss. And he is a caster. There we go. And we'll go ahead and save it. Then we'll go to the character sheets. And we're going to open up this gear to get to our options. And he is now a Goblin Priest. Do we want him to be slightly tougher so that he can maybe get off more than one spell? Sure. Does the adventure give us anything that makes the priest stronger that we might want to keep in mind? Probably not. Let's go ahead and just assume he has max hit points. So instead of 7, he will have 12. Doesn't seem like a lot, but at low levels, definitely makes a difference. If he's a priest, maybe he has religion. I doubt that's even going to come into play, but, you know, you could do it if you wanted to. So first level monster would have a 2. And we want to make him a spellcaster. So we're looking for the box that says spellcasting NPC. Here it is. And then it says, cool, what does he use for spellcasting? Well, I guess wisdom. So he's terrible at casting spells. But he is a goblin. Alright, what level is he? Let's see. Let's just make him level 1, because it's already a pretty hard adventure. There we go. Alright, that's all we needed to do. So now if we scroll down, oh my goodness, he's got his own spell sheet. So, how do we add spells to this? Well, assuming that you have something besides the SRD, or the basic stuff. Maybe you bought the player's handbook, another good purchase to make. We could go over to the compendium and we could just type in some spells. So let's say he has I don't know, we'll say poison spray, because that seems like something that a goblin would think was pretty cool. If we scroll down to spells, we see poison spray. I'm just gonna drag it and drop it. There we go. He's a priest, so maybe he's got thaumaturgy. Let's see. Thaumaturgy. Oh my goodness. Thaumaturgy. There we go. And I'm going to drag that over, and it adds it to the adventure. Or the character sheet. And let's give him a couple of first level spells. So what would a first level guy who is an evil priest, what would he have? He would have Bless or Bane. There you go. Yeah, he's kind of a negative guy, so we'll give him Bane. And we could really scare the pants off of everybody and give him, like, Inflict Wounds. Oof. Alright. You definitely want to teach them early. Take out the spellcaster first. Yeah, and that's all we need. He's got 2 spell slots to work with. And he's got some spells. And cantrips, of course, can be used as much as they want. Now, yeah, I think that's pretty good. So just like that, we have a Goblin Priest that we made ourselves. So now we're homebrewing. Let's make him a miniature. So I'm going to drag Goblin Priest over. Alright, I'm going to double click on it to get to the settings. We know he has 12 hit points, and we're using green for hit points. So I'll do 12, 12. Let's see, do NPC AC. Let's see, he's got sight. He's got 60 feet of dark vision. And I think me as the DM, I'd like to know his name. So I'll put Goblin Priest there so I can keep track of it. There we go. And then I'm going to hold on Alt, double click, and register this with his character sheet like we have done before. Now we have a Goblin Priest mini that we could use in other adventures if we need to drag him out and use him. And this one is animated, and that is just adorable. Alright, cool. So, I'm a Goblin Priest, and I'm doing this, like, ceremony. I want to actually see what I'm doing, because dim light is dark vision, and dim light is no fun to operate in. So we are going to put some fire down. So easiest thing we could do is just say that they have a couple of torches lit. So we could put a torch down. There we go. And let's see. Are we on the right? Oh, we're on the GM layer still. All right, so we're going to move these guys. There we go. And then we'll drag another torch out, making sure that we're on the object layer. There we go. So there's 2 torches. They're really big torches, but it's whatever. And there's the Goblin Priest, and he's by the statue and the kid. He's doing the bad stuff. We got a bugbear hiding back there, and we got to put a couple more goblins in there. We're not going to put 5 more goblins because this is already getting pretty crazy. So we'll have 2 more goblins, just as top two guys. There we go. And then I'll flip it. There we go. So that's that room. Cool. So as they're in that room, the kid's there. His name's Peter, I guess. He's sobbing. Players have to try to calm him down and free him. Blah 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 blah. So a line of text is carved into the dais of the statue. It reads, "To keep this, you must first give it to me in Elven." So what does that mean? And do I have a handout for it? I don't know if I have a handout for this particular one. I should probably make one. So I'm going to copy that bit right there into a text box. So let's grab this and I'll paste it here. There we go. And I'll copy from the adventure and paste it in. There we go. All right. So a line of text is carved here, blah, blah, blah. And then to make sure I don't forget, I'm going to put like a big circle around here and then draw it over here to make sure I remember, hey, I'm supposed to read this part. All right, I'll even go like this. Read. Cool. All right, so what am I reading here? It's basically a puzzle. Now, not every group loves puzzles, but this adventure kind of wanted to run the gamut and show you the different aspects of play. Honestly, if they're having trouble with the riddle, start asking for skill checks or something, and then give them lots of hints. And if they still don't get it, if they come up with something that's kind of feasibly cool, just pretend that was the right answer anyways, and open the door to the secret room. Because we're all here to have fun, and not everybody enjoys puzzles. Alright, getting off my soapbox on that one. So, they unlock the secret door by doing the thing that they need to do, and they explore further in, and then they've got this room C. So let's go to room C. And room C is the actual tomb. It says, a shining sword rests on a weapon stand in the center of the room. Cool. 5 stone sarcophagi are arranged around the room. The sarcophagi are ornately carved with scenes of the victories of the Delian Order. Any character that swore an oath to the Delian Order will recognize this room as a holy place and will understand that plundering the room is an act of desecration. They will also understand that they are free to take the sword, but nothing else. You could also say anybody that passes like a DC 10 religion check or something. I mean, it ain't that, it ain't that big a secret to know that you shouldn't be robbing tombs. If a character was not sworn the oath, takes the sword, or any character attempts to open any of the sarcophagi or take anything else in the room, 3 skeletons emerge from random sarcophagi and attack the party. That sounds cool. So we don't have any skeleton monsters, so we're going to go to our compendium, and we're going to look up skeletons. And there they are. And we're going to drag over these skeletons. And these skeletons can either live on the DM's lair, or we could just hide them off the map. Right? So if they're off the map, the players won't be able to see them because they can only see what's on the map because of dynamic lighting. Or if you wanted to like pick in advance which ones they were in, you could put them here and then move them to the GM's lair, and then they won't know. I find that hiding them off the map is a little bit easier because I don't have to keep switching back and forth between the GM's lair, which gets tiring after a while, even with hotkeys. So yeah, it's a lot easier just to go, hey, I'm going to grab these guys from behind my DM screen and then pop them onto the board. Alright, so there is treasure in this room. It is the Edict Blade. That sounds pretty cool. We should probably make a handout for the Edict Blade. So, it is a +1 longsword, +2 versus Goblinoids. So, we could go to handout. And we could call it the Edict Blade. Alright, cool. I think I spelled that right. Yeah. And then we could copy its stats and put it down here. And then, of course, we would need a picture of a cool sword. So you either drag in a picture of a cool sword, or you search for a picture of a cool sword and put it down. Let's see. Do I have a cool sword picture? Yeah, look, we could take the this guy, this sword from the I think that's a Vorpal sword. They'll definitely get their hopes up if they're metagaming. All right, cool, nice. So now we have a handout for the cool treasure that they find. So we'll move that to our handouts folder. All right, what else is in here? There's other treasure as well if they decide to be grave robbers and all that. So yeah, what I could do is I could copy the treasure table or copy the whole description if I wanted to, and then make another text box essentially to remind me what's going on. So again, to make a text box, tools on the left, go down to text, go ahead and click, paste, and then we've got a text box. Cool. Alrighty. So we've got skeletons, we've got a treasure handout, we've got the treasure. Honestly, I think that's it. I think we just summed up the whole adventure. There is a reward for saving the kid. So when they go back to the farm and they go to return the kid to his parents, they do get rewarded with a lucky stone and an assassin's belt, which is pretty cool. Especially if there was, like, 3 players, getting 3 magic items is kind of nice, because then they could sort of divvy them up. We could, like we did for the other stuff, make handouts for them by going to our journal tab and going to add and putting a picture in and putting the description. But we're not going to do that in this video, because this video is run pretty long. Hopefully, I've shown you a lot of neat techniques for filling up your dungeon and making it more interesting. Let's, for fun, throw Chamomile and John down into this dungeon so I can kind of show you through their eyes what they're going to be experiencing. John, a human, can't see in the dark, so right away he's got problems. So he's going to probably want to light a torch, which is going to make it very hard to use a crossbow. Let's see. Oh, John is on the DM's lair still. Again, if you ever run into issues when you're running stuff, the first thing you want to check is what layer you're on. And if your players ever run into issues, the first thing you want to ask them is, do you have the select tool on? Because a lot of times they'll say, I'm not able to grab my miniature. My miniature doesn't work anymore. That is either because they're on the pan tool or they're on the measurement tool still. That is like the #1 question in the last 5 years of Roll20 that I've had to answer for players is, do you have your select move tool on? Because you might have a different tool on, and that almost always is why their character suddenly stopped working. Alright, so let's move these guys to the token layer, and let's also go to the token layer, and let's take these guys on a quick run through the dungeon. John has a torch, so he can actually see. He has to remember to move the torch with him. He moves here, he sees a goblin. The goblin runs into the room. He can't see anymore because dynamic lighting is the thing. Chamomile, she's going to move up, and she says, oh, John, it's real bad, but they have chicken. So an awesome fight might break out in this room. John, says, hey, I don't need my torch anymore because they've got the room lit up. He moves into the room, starts shooting. Chamomile casts sleep, puts the whole room to sleep. Good stuff. It looks like... Oh, let's go ahead and... For full effect, let's turn the opacity all the way down on the GM's layer. So we're just seeing what the players would say. Alright, it looks like there's a passage up ahead. Oh, wait. There's some words written in the stone above the door. And that's when we show them the handout. And then they search the room for treasure. We tell them about the treasure that's in the room. And then they go further in. And not paying attention, Chamomile steps onto the trap. And that's when we say, aha, we gotcha. And we go over to the GM layer. And we grab a hold of that trap, move it to the token layer, and maybe even flash it on screen. So, hey, scything blades come out of the wall and start chopping you up. Make your, make your peace with your god, because I'm going to roll a +8 attack roll against you. So I go here, and I roll the d20, or I bring up the advanced dice roller and have it do all the math for me. And then you say, I don't know, Chamomile does a 23 hit, right? And then it does a whopping d4 points of damage because this is that first level adventure. But she takes the maximum amount of damage, which is almost half her health. So they're really having a bad time here. If your party is constantly getting smoked, definitely add lots of healing potions to your drop tables. And by drop tables, I just mean add healing potions to every treasure everywhere. Just put healing potions everywhere. Healing potions for days. Healing potions is like the magic patch on any leaky adventure. Just keep putting more healing potions on it. Alright, they go further in. And up ahead, they see this room. And she's like, oh, it's real bad, John. It's real bad in there. Now, you'll notice she doesn't see the bugbear. That is because the fight they had in this room alerted the bugbear that they were coming. So I've got the bugbear like hiding there. Now, if they were intentionally being as quiet as possible, I would probably go to the DM layer and then make the bugbear not hiding. Or if one of their passives was better than the bugbear's stealth, which the bugbear's stealth is a 6. So his passive stealth is a 16. So if they had a passive perception of 16 or higher, I would say that they like heard the bugbear around the corner like breathing or whatever type thing. So as Chamomile moves up, the bugbear would then attack from stealth. A crazy fight would go off. I don't think that they would win, but if they did, they would save the little boy, who we need to make sure we move off of the GM's layer. There we go. Let's see. There we go. Ah, cool. And this is another reason that you kind of want to run through real quick and just like double check everything. Alright, and then as Chamomile we check. Oh, we left the secret door open. That would have been egg in the face, right? So we're going to go to dynamic lighting and we're going to put the secret door back. There we go. Cool. Alright, so now she walks in the room, we check everything. Yeah, this is going to be a pretty cool fight. Got the pillars, got cool lighting, got lots of stuff to fight. Little boy in a cage. We got some torches shedding light. Very cool. We made sure the secret door was closed. We can kind of skip ahead if we wanted to. Drag her over into this room. Jump in. Alright, we don't see any skeletons. We didn't accidentally put the skeletons in the room ahead of time. I guess the only thing that was missing there is we described there being a sword there in the center of the room, but there's no sword on the map. So what we could do is go back to our art assets, search for a sword. Here's a sword right here. We could just drag the sword over and just say there's the sword. You know, like you could go and make it a drawing if you wanted to, rotate it around, you know, whatever. But then they actually know exactly where the sword is on the map if they really want to have that, and it's not that hard to do, so why not? Yeah, so this is it, guys. It's been a journey. 20 videos. I know this one was super duper long, but it basically just took everything that we've learned so far and kind of threw it together and provided lots of different tools and techniques for how you could actually use all this Roll20 stuff to run an adventure. So I hope that the series has been helpful for you, and I hope that you are able to run some amazing adventures for your friends and family and play some D&D online. It's a great way to stay connected with people who live far away or have very busy schedules or just can't get to you or you can't get to them. It's fantastic. So if you have any questions, drop them in the comments or hit me up on Discord. I'll be happy to answer them. And I'll keep making videos about more advanced stuff in Roll20. And about once a month or so, I post a video just of myself building a dungeon, just so you can kind of see different types of dungeons built in Roll20. All right, have fun playing D&D, and see you next time.